Productions Parsons, where if you need your Parsons produced, Parsons, we can produce. Welcome back to another episode, y'all. I know it's been far too long since my last episode. I am back. I have an apology for y'all. Right here is my MacBook Pro. As you can see, if I open her up, she is El Deadzo. The reason I have not posted in quite some time is because of this. This fiasco is how I edit all my videos. So I'd like to introduce and say hello to my MacBook Air, which is now the main source of my producing Parsons needs for Parsons Productions produces. In the time that I have been away from YouTube, there have been some issues here in the Parsons Production Studio. This right here is one of them. As you are all aware, this is my 1980 Sv650 resto mod that I have been working on for quite some time now. We got this thing to run the other day while I was off camera. The awesome thing is these carbs work great. I actually have a whole nother video coming out on these things, which are a little surprise for later. However, the bike runs, which is fantastic to hear. This one here is my kill switch. It is on and off. And then this is the starter switch. It's a momentary off, momentary on, like that. That's how a normal motorcycle works. Like you press this for a starter. The interesting thing is when you press the starter button, the bike will fire up and will run. As soon as you let go of the starter button, ignition kills and there's no more spark. Now, I don't know how many of you folks know about these older generation motorcycles. However, I would love some help. So if you'll list down in the comments below if you know what's wrong with this bike, I would love to know. One more time, just to recap on that. As soon as you press and hold the starter button, it fires right up and it runs just fine. The moment you let off that starter switch, ignition kills somewhere. So maybe it's something I wired up here. I have no clue, and it's been driving me up a wall because it's so beautiful outside lately, and I really, really want to ride, and I can't because this thing is being a pain. If you perhaps know what's wrong with it, feel free to leave a comment down below because I am kind of at a loss here, and I am about ready to shove this motorcycle off a cliff because not really, but I would love to get it up and running because I'm really tired of it sitting and I want to ride it. Today we're talking about the Suzuki Sv650. We have a number of parts we need to install on this bad boy today, and they are lying right before you. This right here is the front downpipe header that comes out of the block. It's a V-twin, so there's one on the front and one on the back. This is the front one. Another thing is this. The other day I tried making a little DIY shifter because I am now the proud owner of brazing equipment. I can now braze. So I was like, wow, that's aluminum. I can braze aluminum. So I'll just braze the old one back on. I couldn't. Well, I mean, I probably could have, but I went a little south. It's okay. And last but not least, we have a old headlight for it. This is going to be a temporary placeholder until we have the actual headlights. The previous owner met up with me recently and he found this in his garage somewhere. This is a headlight mounting kit as well as the actual headlight itself. You can see this is the stock OEM headlight for the Sv650, and hopefully that'll just be a plug and play, wire it all up, and that'll be it. That's all we have for today's episode. Let's get into installing these parts and let's have a fantastic time together. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is remove this old crushed exhaust pipe. You can see right up here up front, it got a little mangled. Hopefully the block is not cracked from that. I don't believe it is, but this part just needs replacing. We're just gonna yank this off, replace it with the bottom half. We should be good to go. Okay, already running into a slight issue here. You can see that the metal is crushed so badly that it won't even be able to let me remove the bolt holding it on. Then we're gonna have to take a grinder, an angle grinder, and cut that little section out so I can bend it out of the way. I tried bending it out with the pliers, but pliers wouldn't work there, so let's get the angle grinder out. you gotta be kidding me. Look at that. Okay, so this 5-minute job just turned into like an all-day thing. I got the exhaust pipe off. You can see this thing got pretty freaking wrecked, which is unfortunate. However, only one bolt came out. Here's the other bolt. Snapped off. I kept moving it even though it was really stiff, and that was my fault. One of two things is gonna have to happen now, either an easy out or welding a nut on the end of it. It's gonna be not a lot of fun. I will report back, let you guys know what happens. See if that worked.
One eternity later.
Well, I'm not giving up on the stuck bolts. However, we're gonna take a break from the stuck bolt and move on to the rest of the parts because I do have a little bit of a timeline today I need to get to. Real quick, I lifted a bike in the air and then I went through, let's see. I am so terrible at this, by the way, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different nuts. Welding that thing to get it off. I may own and operate welding equipment, but I am by no means a welder. I can put pieces of metal together, just not very well. So we're gonna get this bike back down on the ground, and then we will work on that shift linkage. Best thing ever. I love this thing. It may not be all that secure, but you know, love it. Also, another fun thing, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I have new foot pegs. All the foot pegs were all snapped off, so these are OEM replacements. They look really clean too. There's this little spring. I just did this on an afternoon real quick. It wasn't that big of a deal, so you guys didn't miss much. Anyway, here is the new shift linkage. Well, on the old one, the top bracket here was snapped off, and since I now own brazing equipment, I was gonna be like, oh, no worries, I'll just weld a new bracket top end piece. Well, I tried that, and this is rather thin stuff, and it just burnt right through it. I gotta practice a little bit more with it, but we'll get better with time. What's gotta happen here is we need to remove the clip here, and this thing will slide right off. Then there's a cotter pin on the backside holding the actual shift linkage on. New one will go on just like so, and then we will be shifting gears and shedding tears. Let's get it. Okay, clutch in. There's 1, neutral, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All set. Back to neutral. That's one thing off the list. Now it's time for the headlight. So I don't really have a whole lot of idea of what I'm doing here. So I've got this bracket kits. I've also got a headlamp here. Let's see what we can work out with this. Well, as you can see, the headlight is installed and the headlight works. There's low beams, high beams. Looks good for now. It's a little funky. It's not necessarily where I want it. I'd like it a lot higher to be up here. There is like a whole cowling kit I'm planning on getting for this bike. You'll see in this picture right here that the Sv650 has 2 different styles you can get. It's more the Street Fighter cafe racer type look, and there's also the more sport modern bike. And I'm gonna go with the sport modern bike version, but this is what I have right now, and this is what I want to install, so I'm gonna install this, and that is on there. That is all I have for today's episode of Parsons Productions. I am going to try my hardest to get that silly exhaust stud off. I have seemed like the worst luck with exhaust studs. Like I had a number of them stuck on the old KZ 750 over there that I had to work. You can see, well, my poor welding skills on the block there, but they're all taken care of now. I'm gonna try my hardest with this to get it all back to OEM status. Today was very productive and I feel great about it. Thank you again for watching another episode of Parsons Productions, and please stay tuned for the next installment where we have some very special equipment to fix this whole monstrosity. I cannot wait to show you guys what I have in store, so stay tuned. Once again, thanks for watching. Take care.